Good morning, everybody, and good evening over there in India. Today we have Vivek here from the Balkans community, and without further ado, we'd love to hear about what your community does.
First of all, warm welcome to everyone. I'm really glad to Nacho and Andy for organizing this beautiful session, especially about community building, because, post-COVID, I think so there was a huge shift in the way professionals work. And I think so that was a very pivotal time because I think so the world moved 5 years ahead in terms of technology and how people adapt. And, so let me just give you a little bit of backdrop, how it all started and why the community exists, so on and so forth. So, being a remote worker, I was working with US-based clients, European clients, and it was a very common problem that I used to say, since I don't go to office, where is my support network? Obviously, you have Slack and spaces like that, but there are lots of professionals, freelancers, solo entrepreneurs, bootstrapping entrepreneurs who needed this support system, and that's where, communities come into place, where people can just come, ask questions, and get feedback on the products that they're building. And obviously there are so many platforms. If you go out in the market and see, like, for example, Reddit is just a community of so many different niches. But that's what it obviously was accelerated a lot during COVID. And fast forward like 2 years, I was talking to Belkin's CEO, and we started discussing the same problem. And he was on page, and we decided that okay, let's do this thing together. And back then, the common idea was, I used to be a bootstrapping entrepreneur, and he himself is building lots of B2B SaaS products. And the idea was that let's build a platform where we all can just support each other. The idea was that since when you're building up a startup, there are so many questions, there are so many things that you can just ask and learn. Like, for example, how to do invoicing, which bank to choose when you're doing the payment structure, so
Not
on and so forth. Absolutely. Like, for example, which kind of contracts to negotiate, and these are the things. It looks intuitive from the outside, but when you actually go in the details, you see that you find yourself that, okay, for example, when you start working in the European Union, how to define those terms and conditions, because those things will come back to you, because there are certain special cases which get you in trouble.
yeah,
So, those were the small little things that, being an entrepreneur myself, I used to face this thing. Vlad understood this thing as well. And this was the common idea, that let's build up a space where we all can just support each other in a genuine way.
yeah.
And, back then, even I was like, this looks like such a cool project to work on. Let's see. And fast forward 2 years ahead, we are 3,000 plus strong.
Yep.
And it's been an amazing experience, because on my day-to-day basis, I get to interact with so many founders, B2B professionals, and the idea is just to help, which in itself is a huge rewarding experience.
Yeah, would love to learn more about what you guys offer. I mean, you guys have exploded over the last few years. I know you guys kind of focus more on the sales and marketing professionals. Can you maybe expand on, who should be joining your community and what they expect to gain out of it? Besides, obviously talking about a lot of great ideas and idea sharing and helping each other solve common problems that they might not necessarily know how to solve themselves.
Absolutely. So that's a good question. So, so see, the initially the idea always was, because I used to, like, work on so many SaaS projects, B2B mainly. That's where I was niche towards. So when I started, this was the common thing, that this is how I can help the community members, be it like any problem that you're facing related to startups and so on and so forth. But as the team grew, as, like, other community managers like Andre came on board, we could help out, like, almost like, the diversified branch of B2B. So nowadays we are catering to mainly CEOs, founders, and B2B professionals. And the idea is that we have dedicated channels within the community where, topic experts, subject matter experts are there. There are leaders within the community who try to help you out, be it like, any niche topic, like, for example, how to close big B2B deals, enterprise deals, that in itself is a very niche topic where you need experienced leaders to talk, because not everyone can just go into it, be it from how shall I make sure that I'm reaching out using cold email outreach to these big enterprise companies,
Mhm.
to how should I, make sure that I'm taking care of this entire long sales cycle, and so on and so forth. So we have different channels within the community, and in order to join, people can simply go to our website, apply from there. There's a form out there, and I generally reach out to them, have 1-week calls, and then try to onboard them into the community.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, especially if you get to know your members joining, it's highly curated. That's great that you guys are doing that.
Absolutely. Just want to add this thing because it's not just about us. There's one thing that having a big community is one thing, but how to make sure that whoever is joining the community, they feel engaged, because there's this huge aspect where people generally focus on metrics like growth numbers, that hey,
Yep.
we want to grow like 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. But community in essence is people. You
Yep.
need to make them feel inclusive. You need to tell them that hey, if you're having a startup, these are how the community can help your startup grow,
Yep.
in a way where you're not just asking them, hey, we can help you with promotion and all. It's like building this inclusive, because as a founder, you're juggling million things, like for example, an employee just going on a sudden
Yep.
vacation, and you have to fill in that, how to do that. So there are so many small little things, and as a community, moderators, leaders, it's our job to make them that hey, we are here to help you, be it right from hiring, or be it like any nitty gritty details, or sometimes it can just be like having a support system where like 5-6 founders come together, just support each other, and share each other failures. Like we used to have certain events like fuck up nights within the community, where the idea was that hey, we'll try to just support each other by sharing that okay, we ran a campaign, it was not so great, but it used to be like a huge success among the founders within the community.
I can
So
imagine.
these are some of the ways, like you can imagine.
Yeah, people love to, real people love to talk about their failures more than their successes, even because I feel like the failures tell you a lot more from that. And building a community where you could actually share those, those inner details, I guess, without, fear of, saying that. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of scared to share their downsides, but if you feel like you're in a comfortable environment, you could really share that. You actually can grow together and really learn from each other's failures and actually open up about it. I think it's far more powerful to have those types of conversations.
Absolutely, like and it is something like you generally learn this thing over the course, that people are just sharing their successes.
Yep.
They're like, for example, I remember there were like few years ago, I came across this idea. It was over indie hackers. Like again, one of the communities that I'm part of, great community of solopreneurs and bootstrapping founders. I found this thing over there that there was this idea. I don't remember the exact name. He was somewhere from Peru, I guess, and he was basically talking to founders about their failures, who basically failed at their startups. I'll share the link later, but it's an amazing website. Almost majority of the founders that I know have pretty much read the blogs that this guy has written. And the idea was that he was interviewing all the founders who could not make it, and you can just learn so much from it. Because when people are succeeding, like whatever they say becomes a gospel that
Yep.
people just talk about, like that they are growing. But again, there is a place for this as well, that
Yep.
that you can always learn from other founders, that okay, for example, personally for me, it was hiring. When
Yep.
I started my own agency, in 2020, hiring was something I struggled so much, because I had few employees. They left me in the middle, like in the middle of the contract, and I was like, damn, this is such a stressful thing. I need to take care of execution, sales, marketing, and now the employees so this was something I shared, and then like another founder came on board. He shared his own insights, and we grew from there. And that's how this idea started, that let's try to have those inclusive nights within the community where the founders can just support each other. And obviously, like once that trusted space is built, it allows this like business collaboration to happen. And where business collaboration is happening, automatically money is an aspect of it. And this is how you build up something sustainable, where people are actually joining by a common mission, but at the same time a business collaboration is happening as well.
And what better way to join the community than to meet the founder of it, and curate the community one by one so everybody's actively engaged. I guess, why is it important to build community? I know everybody wants to do it, but maybe why should brands think about building their own community, and how do they go about doing so?
Absolutely. This is actually a good question because, especially like, I started with this reference of COVID is because of this thing that, like, for example, myself, my entire team is based out in the US. I have never met them. It's just Zoom calls and through that. And for me, it was very much like obviously there is a space over Slack. We have a workspace, but the thing is that I wanted more. Like you just miss going to the office, and that was the common ground. I think so that people who are working exclusively remotely, who don't go to offices, and so, because human beings are social beings, you need a place where you can just network, be more free, express your thoughts, so on and so forth. So that's where communities come into place. I think so, and then there is this thing, that why brands should build it. So first of all, communities
Oh, you got it.
allow this thing allow this thing to happen where like it acts like an echo chamber. Like for example, let's not go just about our community. Like for example, there I one of my first interactions with community was basically over Facebook groups. I was part of a Facebook group. It was I think Lemlist was the Facebook group, and
Yep.
I joined. I did not know, I had no clue about Lemlist, truth be told. I was just intrigued by, I had some SaaS related questions that I wanted some expert opinions on.
Mhm.
I went there, I saw discussions, amazing discussions were taking place in that group. And then it just happened that, okay, some guys are recommending me a tool that, okay, if you're having this problem, check this tool out. If you're having this problem, check this tool out. And, since I'm a marketer myself, I understand that marketers have pretty much ruined Google search. You
Yeah,
know,
they're always gaming,
so
you know.
absolutely, like since you work in marketing as well, you can understand this thing that
Yep.
nowadays you are pretty much tricking the algorithm into that first ranking or the first page on Google.
Yep.
So I was aware of this thing because I had lots of SEO friends. So I was a bit apprehensive that, okay, I want some solution that actually helped me. And,
Yeah.
in communities, the thing is that whatever recommendations you get, you don't get from some search engine or some hack. It's directly coming from people.
Yeah.
And word of mouth marketing is the best form of marketing. For example, if I'm facing a problem and Andy recommends me a tool, there's 90+% chance that I will check that tool out because it was recommended by a friend of mine. So, this is how communities grow. Like you have this thing, and, obviously there are pros and cons. There will be some people who are actually talking negative. There will be people who are like fans of your product. But this allows that humans actually see pros and cons in as they are, and it allows them to make a better decision. If your product is genuinely good and if you have a community, it will allow you to like grow organically in a way that whoever tries your product, they will naturally become your fans.
Yep.
And it allows you to share feedback cycles as well, that hey, if you have anything, just reach out to us right over this channel, so on and so forth. You need to enable these things, but these are one of the few ways why every company should start think of having a community, especially like moving ahead, because our economy is moving towards digital economy, and everyone knows that this is the future, this is the present, and this will keep on growing from here. So I think so it's a very intuitive decision that every company should focus on in some form of community. It doesn't need to be like Slack, WhatsApp, Telegram. The idea is that believe in communities, because where people are together, business will happen you know
Yep. Yeah, and it sounds like some of the main themes I'm hearing here is, trust is very important. That the community members trust each other. They feel like a sense of cohesiveness, inclusivity. People feel welcome to, share their opinions, ask for answers, rely on the answers. Even going back to the trust, the trust aspect as well, and then some sort of a common interest, right? It could be your product. It could be, even more powerfully, the problem that you're all trying to solve together, right? So it's not a lot of times marketers and product owners think in terms of trying to sell their product and make the community just
Mm.
about that. But you got to think about deeper, like why do people even use a product in the first place? So it might be better to kind of, build a community around that. And your product just happens to be an extension of the problem they're trying to solve, but it's not, the core reason why they're there.
Absolutely, I actually 100% agree with this thing. I think so. The mission is very the core aspect of it. You need to have, see, let's be honest. every like 90% of communities close within 2 years. Like for example, the Lemlist community that I joined, it's a closed community now. Like the group is dead, and I'm talking about a unicorn. It's $1 billion plus company,
Wow.
and because it requires lots of effort, that's why mission statement should be very clear. That if your mission is once the mission is defined, like for example, I wanted to create a space where people feel trusted, people feel that, okay, all the individuals are vetted. I personally used to check them out that, hey, having 1v1 calls, seeing that if the goals are aligned or not, so on and so forth. So, absolutely. But the first thing is having a very core mission and then trying to create a space because, mission will enable that, you define your value propositions around it.
Mhm.
Like, okay, like for example, my goal is that I want to create a trusted space. How do I make sure that things are trusted? You need to have their social profiles. Every member should have a LinkedIn profile or a Twitter profile, because this adds to that extension of trust.
Yeah.
If if for example, and then like there are obviously steps through which you need to enable that these conversations are happening. You
Yeah.
need to introduce people because people are naturally hesitant. Not everybody is like they will go on and say that, hey, I'm this. Obviously people are very much welcome when they join communities with this idea, but people are generally reserved. So as a community leader, it's your job to make sure that people are much more welcome. People feel that, okay, what help do you need? Just let us know, and we'll try to make sure that we are trying to at least assist you in making those things happen.
Yeah.
It's difficult to do that on scale. That's another problem that pretty much all the community leaders are trying to define. But at the same time, the main core concept is always having a very strong mission,
Yeah.
because mission will bring people together. You can define your entire value propositions around it, and you can grow from there because value propositions will make sure that rituals are being formed around that.
Yeah.
And rituals are there, people will naturally start coming to you again and again, again and again, and that's how you grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, what you guys are doing really well, from my experience with the community actually, is that you guys do a really good job onboarding, right? And even as you scale, I think it comes back to mission, core purpose, like you mentioned, which is important throughout community building. But what you guys do really well, and companies might lose control of it at some point at scale, but you guys have done a really good job onboarding. You ensure people that are introduced to the community. They even go into the Slack group. You encourage people to kind of post about who they are, what they can do for others, and starting that kind of dialogue and getting that introduction going between members. I think is really key to kind of making them feel like they're inclusive into that community. And I think you guys have done a really good job at that. And I think other communities could emulate that as well.
Thank you very much. I think so everyone should, because focusing on vague metrics like growth numbers, like what's the use of 50,000 plus members if only 100 people are active? Yeah, I'm part of this community. It's a paid community. I'm forgetting its name, but it's mainly for digital marketers. They have something like 100 plus members,
Mhm.
and the idea is that everybody is active there. You
Yeah.
realize, and that's the main thing. Like, and their focus is that they don't want to grow more than 100 members,
Yep.
and obviously because see, the thing is that this is something that everybody should realize, that don't focus on those numbers. Yes, it's look cool when you see that, oh wow, this is 10,000 plus members community, but
Yeah.
it's more about how much, like as they say in SaaS as well, retention is the king. That
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you have created that entire system where people are feeling inclusive. They are feeling that, okay, my questions are being answered.
Yep.
Like this used to be a problem initially when I started that. Suppose a business person is asking a question within the community,
Yeah.
and probably people are not willing to help each other out. And that's where, like, as a leader, it was my responsibility that, okay, I can add this thing from my experience. And once you start leading that, okay, I'm doing it,
Mhm.
naturally people will start following your steps. This is
Yep.
how it goes, like, So generally, this is how it should be done, that you have to lead the way. You have to show that, okay, this is how it's done. And if you keep doing it, if your interests are genuine, that's why I say, your mission has to be something that's coming from deep within you,
Yep.
that not everybody is capable of doing that. Many people are a bit hesitant in coming out in public. They will do all the good job in the back end, but when it comes to leading out in the public, people are a bit reserved. So that's why even in real life, if you see, like, there are some people out there who are naturally community builders. They will make sure that there is a good group of people always surrounding them, so on and so forth. So it all comes down to this thing as well, that you need to make sure that there is a system in place, there is a common mission that binds everything together, and at the same time, scaling is one thing, but each member, at least like majority of members, feel welcomed. How you do it, it's totally your call. 1v1 calls, I don't think so it's possible if you're
Mhm.
trying to scale on a huge number. But at the same time, if you're not doing that, there are chances are probably you won't be able to retain them. So it's a balance that you have to maintain.
And I think everybody can do that at least initially, right? Just the core initial community really sets the tone for everything that follows on after that. So kind of a good hack would be maybe you're a little bit more hands on. There's a saying, do things that don't scale. Maybe really get to know the people in your community that's building the base of it. Then as you scale, that could become a little bit less hands-on, if you will. But then the mission kind of ties people back together. Once they come in, they see other community members behaving in a certain way, they'll behave the same way as well, and just kind of join into the community accordingly. We have a question.
100%, 100% agree with that, Andy, because this is the basic thing. Like, focus on making sure that initial members, at least like you have this group of like 50, 100 people that are like these foundation pillars of the community, that even if you're not there, if a question is being asked, they take this responsibility that, okay, let me help this guy out. And you grow from there, because naturally this energy just rubs off on the new members as well. And everybody starts feeling this inclusiveness.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. So we have a question from the community, actually. Cigar asks, what about regulation or moderation of the community? Obviously, some people get a little too excited or, might post something that you might not necessarily want to your community, or, perhaps members might not get along for whatever reason, arguing about politics in a place where you should be talking about business. What are your
Yes.
recommendations for community moderation to make sure
Eh,
that you're ensuring?
it's a constant work, it's a constant work. Like, you have to be on the vigil, and especially like, um, if you're working across the globe, if you're having members from across the globe, probably in 24 hours cycle, you will see that there are some members. See, the thing is that, that's the main reason why. Scaling at what cost? This is something that everybody should ask, because
Yeah.
if you're bringing, like, for example, 100 new members each week, it generally happens that a certain tiny percentage, even though, because they are marketers, marketers have this tendency, as you say, hacking. This is a huge problem, because personally, I'm a growth hacker as well, but at the same time, each community has its own language.
Yeah.
You need to learn that thing. You need to stay out there and understand that, okay, this is how the community is behaving, this is how the community, like, for example, there are guys out there
Mhm.
uh, who wants a feedback, they drop their link.
Yeah.
But they do it in such a way that you feel that, okay, this is completely genuine post, let's leave it there. But then there are guys out there, they just come and drop the link, nothing else, just a bland link. Like, what am I supposed to do out there? So obviously it's a constant thing. That's why I say that community moderators are important. Community managers become the basic fundamental block of having a sustainable community, because nobody wants to be a part of a group that's spamming. So
Yeah.
it's something like, and it's not just about posting. There are some guys who go sending unsolicited DMs.
Yep.
So even that's a challenge. So you need to be constantly, like, make sure that you're reaching out to people that, hey, if you see that anybody is spamming,
Mhm.
please report back to us. It was a problem initially, like last year we suffered a lot from it.
Especially get a
But
together. Everybody's trying to promote themselves.
Absolutely. And luckily, like, we identified them that, okay, this is the core set of personas that are, like, we noticed that majority of spam, like 80-90% of the spam, is coming from this set of users.
Yeah.
So we completely, like, cut them off, because lots of work, hard work goes into, like, creating a community where people are actually collaborating.
Yeah.
And these acts as like useless noise, which nobody wants.
Yeah. And a few people
And
can destroy it for the rest of everyone. You know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely. So, like, it's a constant process, though. Like, even if people are not spamming, you need to redirect them. That I understand that they are launching a product, they want to talk about their product, but the best way is that you create an event together. Like, for example, if you want to speak, let me help you, but at least ask for help
Yeah.
before like just going ahead and like, deciding that I'll spam.
Yeah, the best way to solicit, ultimately even promoting yourself is to ask for a question, ask for help, start a conversation about something, right? Because
Yes.
on those conversations, even if you're trying to get an answer to help yourself, you're generating discussion and conversation,
Yes.
people engage and gets people talking about maybe even their own problems. And then together you can, kind of collaboratively work to like help each other out. And that's the essence of community, right? I mean, you still get your question answered, you get your brand out there, invariably, but you also create value and discussion that actually helps other people get their questions answered too. So
Exactly. Once you understand this core thing, that rather than just discussing, keeping it about your business, talk
yeah,
about the problem. Just discuss the problem. Naturally, because you're solving that problem, your business will come into it.
yeah,
If you just understand the simple facet, I think Reddit can be a great avenue, a great channel as well. And this is the main reason why, B2B businesses struggle so much that they don't think of Reddit as a channel for their businesses. It's because of this thing. People don't think that discuss the problem itself. Naturally, your solution will be recommended probably by someone else if you're good at what you do.
yeah.
But like you said, once you start discussing the problem, probably like even you will learn things that okay, the customer is thinking in this way.
Awesome.
So I totally agree. This is the way to go, and naturally, I think so. The best way is just ask for help. I think so. You'll be surprised once you ask for help, who comes out to help you. I
Yes.
remember, back in 2016, I was just getting started on the internet, and I asked indie hackers community, like I was working on a project. Somehow, the email system that was built, it was started sending emails again and again and again, and like I saw that now I have sent like 5 times the same copy to all the users, and I was panicking because it was late in the night. I was the only developer awake, and I reached out to indie hackers community. That guys, please help me. If you don't, probably by the morning, by the time developers are awake, the everything, all the hard work of 6 months is gone.
Yeah.
And you know a guy from Belgium reached out to me. We have a call. He literally have a call, and we discuss for 90 minutes.
Wow.
Shows me how to solve it. And this is the power of community. That once you ask out for help, you're just surprised who out there over the internet is ready to help you. So ask out for help, and this is the most natural way to progress.
That's a great point. And I guess what platforms would you recommend? We were talking about Reddit, but is there like embeddable platforms? Obviously, a lot of people are moving to Slack for community building. I know you guys have a great Slack group. I definitely recommend it for anybody listening today. Is there any other platforms you'd recommend, or maybe you could touch on why you guys chose Slack?
Absolutely. So, see, all boils down to what sort of a community you want to build,
Mhm.
and what your vision for the community is. Like, for example, I'm part of this community as well, where CMOs are there, and it's just a community of like 30 people.
Mhm.
So, and they don't want to increase it. It's a very small community, but very active community. And
That's
then there are communities where like thousands of members are there, you know. So both has its own pros and cons, but it all boils down to what vision you have, what sort of community you want to build. Generally, if you want to build a personal community where you'll be talking about like lots of personal stuff, WhatsApp is a very handy place to build a community as well. But generally, there are users like me who find WhatsApp bit privacy focused. Like I don't want some corporate messages to be there. So if you want to build a professional community, obviously Slack is a very good place because lots of businesses are there. It's easy. They have their own app, and it has lots of benefits. Notifications are an issue with Slack, that once you reach a certain level, generally people avoid notification from Slack altogether. And then
yeah,
you face this issues that how will you remind people that, hey, retention becomes a problem. Discord is good, but Discord is more focused towards programmers, gamers. So if you're into that niche, it's much more there. Lots of automation options are there.
yeah.
So it's a very solid platform. Lots of people are already using it. But I think so. If your target audience is no code and less tech people, like, not who are not that much technically proficient, then Discord is not a great platform there. But if they're software developers, gamers, I think so it's a great platform.
Definitely.
Um, Telegram groups are very famous as well. Like I'm part of several communities there. In fact, Peter Levels shifted from Slack. Peter Levels is like a very famous name in startup community. So he shifted from Slack to Telegram. So Telegram is really good as well. Telegram again is banned in some countries. That's some problem, but they have a beautiful interface. Like somehow like it's much more better than WhatsApp. So highly recommend checking Telegram out as well. It's a very good place to build communities, and especially because Telegram also allows you to automate lots of stuff. So like, lots of possibilities are there. But again, it all boils down to which kind of audience you want to cater to.
Yep.
You
And
know, of please say.
definitely, there's some platforms you can embed to yourself as well. Like we have Amity, for instance, in our marketplace as well. They allow to have like an embeddable social product on your website. So yeah, there's great free options out there. Slack, Telegram, those are great options. And then there's also options where you could kind of build your own,
Yeah,
low.
so a circle has been making lots of waves as well. I see that I'm part of uh, lots of communities over circle as well. But again, one thing I have definitely realized this thing. It all boils down to make it easy for people to come there.
Yeah,
Like, like often sometimes again, like it's something even I struggle with. Like for example, if people are not there are people who become engaged in the community, then they reach out after a couple of weeks over LinkedIn that, hey, Vivek, can you just share what's the link to your community?
yeah,
So, you want to make sure that it's easy for them to access, and that is something that you always have to do.
yeah,
That at least make sure that people are able to access it in as easy as possible. And if you can do that, that's the main reason why. The main reason why Slack, Telegram, and all the services that we're mentioning, they're popular because they have their own app,
yeah.
and so definitely it makes it easy to like, converse, so on and so forth. So but the main thing is accessibility. If you can just make sure that you have a platform that's easily accessible, lots of possibilities can come from there.
Definitely. So I guess what's next for Belkins? What are you guys going to be working on next? And tell us more. Where people can learn more about you guys. I know we have a link here as well, but and why they should join your community as well. Aside from all the great
Absolutely.
things we went over already.
So, so as you said at the start, like as I said, I mentioned it. Majority of communities within 2 years they close down because of this fact that community building is actually hard. It's a slow process. At the same time, you have to grow one by one.
Yep.
There is no other hack to it. If you're not getting on a call with each and every person, it gets difficult to retain them.
Yeah.
So, a huge aspect for us is to become sustainable this year. That by the end of 2024, we want to break even at least, so that, we can envision a future where we can say that, hey, community is standing on its own. There is no, Belkins have been very kind that they have been like, supporting us from the very start. And
Yeah.
like, just shout out to Vlad that the amazing entrepreneur that he is. He was always amazingly supportive. Somehow, like he manages so many businesses, and yet he is active in the community.
Yeah.
So
He's
you
great.
can pretty much imagine. Yes. So as you already know, like you already know Vlad. So
Yep.
he's amazing at what he do. I don't know where he finds all this energy from, but for the rest of 2024, we just want to make sure that the community becomes self-sustainable. That so that we can envision a future where the community can exist. We can continue to serve all the amazing members that we have. We already have some amazing plans, and we are working on it. Still, it's something that we are testing out how we can make sure that we can reach that number. But that's the goal for 2024. That we want to make sure that the community is self-sustainable, and if so just looking out for companies to work with, that how we can make sure that there's a good collaboration happening between companies and the members, and making sure that uh, actually the community is serving its purpose, that
Yep.
we are helping business collaboration to happen. So really looking forward to that, but because that in itself is a very interesting aspect, how we can make sure that this thing is as smooth as possible, whereas you are becoming highly niched and at the same time, serving people's interest.
Well, I think you guys' heart is in the right place, and I think any founder, whether it be a community or somebody building a product to solve people's problems, if they really, truly in their heart believe in the mission, their actions will kind of follow their thoughts and their, their motives, right? So I think you guys' heart is in the right place, and I think your mission is very clear for what you guys want to accomplish. And I think the value that you guys are creating as a community around that, kind of shows for itself. So, definitely recommend any, sales and marketing professionals now, especially executives out there that want to be a part of a community where, they actually feel inclusive and actually get answers and support for what they're looking for. You even get to meet Vivek as part of the onboarding, or one of his great team members, Andre. They have a great group over there. So highly recommend working with these guys. And, we're proud to be a partner of Belkin's. So, we're looking forward to continuing to work with you guys. If anybody's interested in learning more about Belkin's, you can go to blkns.co, sign up today and, get to meet the team over there and go from there.
Thank you very much, Andy. It's been absolute pleasure to work with Nacho. And yes, looking forward to a continued collaboration. And again, thank you very much for the beautiful session.
Thanks. You too, bud.